Well, if you're like me, you care about your car, but you're not the biggest fan of having to get work done on your car. This is where Roda comes in. Roda is a DMV-based auto shop that makes taking care of your car so easy, it feels like magic. Roda has a team of best-in-the-business technicians who can service any make and model across any maintenance or repairs and detailing. With over 1,000 Google reviews, Best Auto Shop on Yelp, and Nextdoor awards, your neighbors are loving Roda, and you will too. Roda is tremendous. You can book any car service online in under 3 minutes. Roda offers free towing or valet. Roda literally will pick up your car and bring it to the shop in Rockville, Maryland, service the car, and return it to you. Over 80% of Roda services are done on the same day on which they're booked. Roda offers price matching, honest flat pricing, and financing. Roda offers free inspections on your car and shares everything found via video and pictures. Drivers approve only what they want to. Visit Roda.com, that's RODA.com, and use the promo code GALDI20 for 20% off any service. That's Roda.com, promo code GALDI20 for 20% off any service. Hey, if you're like me, you don't exactly have a ton of time to shop for clothes. My wife is the same way, and she has introduced me to Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix is great. You just take a quick style quiz, share your size, your vibe, your budget, and boom, you're matched with a real human stylist who handles the rest. Stitch Fix sends you a fix box with clothes that actually fit and make sense for your life, work, weekends, whatever. Stitch Fix saves you time, you look great, and you don't even have to think about it. And Stitch Fix is no risk, all style. Try Stitch Fix clothes in the comfort of your home. Keep what works, send back the rest. Free shipping and returns always, and no subscription required. Plus, get a free try-on for your first fix. Get started today at StitchFix.com/podcast to get $20 off your first order, and Stitch Fix will waive your styling fee. That's StitchFix.com/podcast. And away we go. Episode 1163 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Thursday, September 25th, 2025. 3 months from today is December 25th, Christmas. Let that sink in. But we on Wednesday afternoon, maybe, hopefully, had what we may look back upon as Christmas for the Nationals. DH James Wood hit 2 home runs, giving him 3 homers over the Nats' last 2 games and 30 homers in MLB's 2025 regular season. The Nats won at the Atlanta Braves 4-3 to snap the Braves' 10-game winning streak and to prevent a 3-game sweep. And we had reports of Nats ownership, the Lerner family, having decided on Boston Red Sox Senior Vice President, Assistant General Manager Paul Toboni as the Nats head of baseball operations. Major Nats news, a lot to discuss, in-depth reaction coming up later in the show. Hello and welcome to this Thursday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. So the Nats just finished a 3-game series at the Atlanta Braves. The Commanders are at the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday afternoon at 1. And might the Commanders be without both their QB1 and WR1? Jayden Daniels, he on Wednesday afternoon was a limited participant in practice due to the knee injury that kept him from playing in the 41-24 win over the Las Vegas Raiders at Northwest Stadium this past Sunday afternoon. Terry McLaurin on Wednesday afternoon did not practice, this due to what's being called a quadriceps injury that he suffered in the win over the Raiders, but there is some mystery with this injury, and there were 10 other Commanders players on the team's injury report for Wednesday afternoon's practice, including a player who we had not known was injured, running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Bill, he did not practice due to a knee injury. Next segment, analysis of the latest on Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and the Commanders' many injuries. The following segment, conversation about various other Commanders topics off head coach Dan Quinn's pre-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon, including the great play of edge defender Dorance Armstrong, a notable revelation about safety Jeremy Reaves as he's poised for increased playing time, a vote of confidence from Quinn for kicker Matt Gay, and why the team is excelling on kickoff and punt returns. And also on the show, I'll talk Orioles. They lost to the Tampa Bay Rays 6-2 at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Wednesday evening. Before we get to some feedback, Wizards general manager Will Dawkins, he did a pre-Wizards training camp press conference on Wednesday morning. One of the things that I appreciate about Dawkins is his honesty about what our Wizards are doing, which is rebuilding and tanking. Now, he does not say, nor should he say, tanking, but he does say rebuilding. May 25th, 2023 was when Michael Winger was named president of Monumental Basketball. June 8th, 2023 was when Will Dawkins was named Wizards general manager. Where are we with our Wizards in their rebuilding and tanking? Here was Dawkins on Wednesday morning.
We do know that we're rebuilding under Michael Winger's leadership. Our front office is a little over 2 years here now. We have a very clear vision for where we're going, and we've developed a plan to get there. Know that. Also know that rebuilding, it isn't easy, nor is it linear. I know you guys have heard me use those words before. We know it's not just hard on the players going through it, but it's hard on you guys as fans too. But I want you to know that you guys can trust that we're laying a foundation here that will make us more sustainable, it'll make us more flexible, and more consistent over time. And that's the goal, and we're committed to that. We will not skip steps. We will not take shortcuts. It truly is about creating something that you all can be proud of and something that can last. So, know we're doing some heavy lifting behind the scenes, more on our infrastructure and ways that we can create lasting and meaningful change. But though the path, I would say, is probably challenging, based on where we started, we feel like it's the right thing for us to do. And again, we're fully dedicated to seeing this plan through. So,
yeah, translation, this rebuild still has a ways to go. This process is lengthy. This process is painful. This process offers no guarantees, but as a Wizards fan, I do continue to endorse the process, and I just hope like heck that this works. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. From Big Doug on X on Commanders receiver Deebo Samuel Sr. doing well on kickoff returns, writes Doug. My only thing is, sure, Deebo with a huge return is great, but then he has to rest for the next 4 plays. Thank you for that, Doug. Hey, Doug, Deebo is big boned, okay? Lay off my man, Deebo. No, him being fatigued after a lengthy kickoff return to where he isn't on the field for the first few plays of the ensuing Commanders' offensive drive is a concern. But the value of these lengthy kickoff returns is big. Deebo in the 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on September 11th had a 50-yard return on the opening kickoff of the second half. Deebo in the 41-24 win over the Las Vegas Raiders at Northwest Stadium this past Sunday afternoon had a 69-yard return of the game's opening kickoff. Deebo for this regular season is number 1 among all qualified players in the NFL in yards per kickoff return, 36.83. Commanders receiver Jaylen Lane for this regular season is number 2 among all qualified players in the NFL in yards per punt return, 17.7. He in the win over the Raiders, of course, had the 90-yard punt return for a touchdown with 9:35 left in the third quarter. Washington with Deebo Samuel and Jaylen Lane, to me, is the best that the team has been on kickoff and punt returns since peak Brian Mitchell. I don't want that disrupted, even if it does mean Deebo missing a few offensive plays. During Dan Quinn's day after the game press conference on Monday afternoon, had this exchange between Commanders insider Tashawn Reed of the Washington Post and Quinn.
Hey, Dan, you guys have been doing a strong job, both in terms of kick return and punt return and the coverage teams in both of those areas as well. What do you think has clicked for you guys in those specific areas?
Yeah, we really value it, Tashawn. We have. I guess it started as, we think of it as a very big part of our play style and identity. The way we cover, the way we hit, the way we run. And we've got some experienced players there, primarily like Reaves and Ballore, and now you see them develop the others of the McGee's and Owens that go through it. So adding Jaylen in the offseason through the draft, that was a big deal. And, you saw the demonstrated punt return ability from Tech and in fact, back from Middle Tennessee as well. But he's also grown on the receiving side. So that was a big deal. On the kick return side, we thought this would be something Debo would be really strong at. And Luke as well. They're aggressive runners to go hit it. But it's the front line. It's getting single blocks. Those are the ones that are challenged. We work those techniques hard against one another. And we're still growing into it as well. And we think as the season's going, what's changing? How do you see things different? You're seeing more footballs hit the ground, to try so you can take off when the ball hits the ground. So those are all part of things that we're growing and learning on. I think the kickers are also doing a good job of that. There's so much more to grow and learn in the kick return side of things. So we're just going to keep digging in as hard as we can.
All right. Email from Redskins fan with some ideas for the Commanders, writes Redskins fan. I wonder if they can use Luke McCaffrey out of the backfield on third down as a pass-catching option. Also, he could be used on a trick play to throw a pass since he was a quarterback. Thank you for the email, Redskins fan. I was happy to see receiver Luke McCaffrey in the win over the Raiders score his first NFL regular season touchdown. We had been waiting on that, right? McCaffrey had 3 receptions for 56 yards and a touchdown on 3 targets and playing on 36% of the Commanders' offensive snaps. 3rd and 7 for the Commanders at the Raiders' 43. Marcus Mariota, a 43-yard shotgun touchdown pass to McCaffrey with 2:05 left in the fourth quarter. McCaffrey was wide open, generated 29 yards after the catch, and Mariota on the play took a quarterback hit from linebacker Devin White. Luke McCaffrey absolutely could be used as a passer on a trick play. He did used to play quarterback. McCaffrey played college football for 5 seasons. He played for Nebraska for the 2019 and 2020 seasons and played for Rice for the 2021 through 2023 seasons. He over his first 3 collegiate seasons, so 2019 through 2021, was essentially a combo quarterback running back. He over his final 2 collegiate seasons, 2022 and 2023, was essentially a combo receiver running back. Speaking of receivers being used as passers on trick plays, did you see who just retired? And this is appropriate given that the Commanders are at the Falcons this Sunday afternoon. Mohamed Sanu. He this past Friday morning announced his retirement as an NFL player. Mohamed Sanu was taken by the Cincinnati Bengals in the 3rd round of the 2012 NFL Draft out of Rutgers. He's best known for his time with the Bengals and the Falcons. He was a solid receiver, but he is one of the greatest passing receivers ever. Mohamed Sanu, in his NFL regular season career as a passer, 7 for 8 for 233 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. And one of those touchdown passes came against the Redskins. September 23rd, 2012, the Skins lost to the Bengals 38-31 at FedEx Field. Mohamed Sanu, on the first offensive snap of the game, had a 73-yard touchdown bomb to receiver A.J. Green on a play called by Bengals offensive coordinator and future Skins head coach Jay Gruden. Maybe Luke McCaffrey can be as prolific of a passing receiver as Mohamed Sanu was. 7 for 8 for 233 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That is incredible. All right, Catering by Uptown. It provides catering to perfection, whatever event you're planning, especially a wedding. Visit cateringbyuptown.com, mention that Al Galdi sent you, and see what Catering by Uptown can do for you. If you are planning a wedding and you're searching for answers, searching for direction, searching for guidance, visit cateringbyuptown.com, mention that Al Galdi sent you, see what Catering by Uptown can do for you. Catering by Uptown provides both great service and a great price. Catering by Uptown is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras. So they are great Commanders fans, loyal supporters of this podcast. Catering by Uptown specializes in handling everything so that you don't have to. Catering by Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style and thus takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Great service, amazing cuisine, and reliability are the foundation of what makes Catering by Uptown one of the most referred caterers throughout Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia. And know this, if you go to cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. Catering by Uptown offers the ability to coordinate services at over 100 of the best reception halls, vineyards, farms, historic homes, event venues, banquet facilities, and wedding venues in the area. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Well, the Commanders' first injury report for their game at the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday afternoon at 1 came out on Wednesday afternoon, and this was a lengthy injury report of back-to-back injury-laden games for the Commanders. The 27-18 loss at the Green Bay Packers on Thursday Night Football on September 11th and the 41-24 win over the Las Vegas Raiders at Northwest Stadium this past Sunday afternoon. But there was encouraging news with quarterback Jayden Daniels. He practiced on Wednesday afternoon, albeit in limited fashion, but he did not practice last Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon. He was a limited participant in practice last Friday, but he, of course, did not play in the win over the Raiders due to a knee injury that he suffered in the loss at the Packers. Meantime, receiver Terry McLaurin, he on Wednesday afternoon did not practice due to what is being called a quadriceps injury that he suffered in the win over the Raiders, but we on Wednesday morning had this from NFL insider Ian Rappaport of NFL Network on X, quote, Terry McLaurin will receive another opinion on his quad today, and he's received several, including from Dr. Williams Myers, the nation's expert in core muscle injuries. As of now, they believe it's a quad injury, but more tests coming as his status is in doubt for Sunday, end quote. So there has been some mystery with this Terry McLaurin injury. He is listed as dealing with a quadriceps injury, but he just saw a core muscle injury expert. Here was Ian Rappaport on NFL Network's Good Morning Football on Wednesday morning.
And then for the Washington Commanders, Terry McLaurin, their star receiver, who garnered so much of the headlines this offseason because of his hold-in and his contract demands, eventually got a contract but didn't practice. And then, surprise, surprise, he starts pulling muscles. This happened. He is dealing with a quad injury. My understanding is his status for this week is very much in doubt. Would not be surprised at all if he missed the game. But he has been getting a variety of opinions to see what is best for him health-wise.
So Terry McLaurin has been so durable in his NFL career. He has played in 100 of a possible 103 regular season games. Regarding what Ian Rappaport said about why Terry McLaurin is injured, look, we don't know why he is injured. He appears to have gotten hurt on his 56-yard reception in the third quarter in the win over the Raiders. Would he have gotten hurt had he not missed so much time during training camp and the preseason due to holding out and holding in? Who knows? Maybe, but maybe not. It's also possible that McLaurin getting hurt is a function of, wait for it, age. Yeah. This is his age 30 season. I know that became a sensitive topic regarding the Terry McLaurin contract extension negotiations. But perhaps we are seeing Terry McLaurin starting to age. But it's also possible that McLaurin getting hurt isn't a function of any of this stuff, and that this is just football, a violent sport in which people get hurt all of the time. What we can say is this: Terry McLaurin, who basically never misses a game, may well be about to miss a game. And this is off him missing so much time during training camp and the preseason due to holding out and holding in the lead up to his age 30 season. That statement that I just made is 100% factually true. Whether this stuff is causation or correlation, we don't know. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, he on Wednesday afternoon did a pre-practice press conference that started shortly after 12:30, lasted for around 12 and a half minutes. So we, during that presser, had this exchange between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Quinn.
So with Terry, what can you say? Is he getting more information on his quad, and what's the level of concern for him for Sunday?
Yeah, it's pretty normal that when you have something that a second opinion takes place, that's not uncommon at all. Honestly, it's just the opposite. It's really common. Almost everybody does that in some spaces. So as we get into, I'll have a better sense, as I get closer to, or as I get into Friday, and then we'll have a sense for, okay, where does it look like for Sunday?
All right. Also with the Commanders' injury report for Wednesday afternoon's practice, on offense, running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt did not practice. Knee. That was new, and that is not good. Receiver Noah Brown did not practice. Groin and knee. He did not play in the win over the Raiders. Tight end John Bates did not practice. Calf and groin. He did not play in the win over the Raiders. Tight end Colson Yankoff was a full participant in practice, but he was on the injury report due to an ankle. On defense, safety Percy Butler did not practice hip. Cornerback Trey Amos was a limited participant in practice calf. And then 4 players did not practice, but due to rest, tight end Zach Ertz, left tackle Laramie Tunsil, edge defender Von Miller, and interior defensive lineman Deron Payne. But you add all of these guys up, 12 Commanders players were on the team's injury report for Wednesday. Wednesday was September 24th. 12 Commanders players on the team's injury report for Wednesday. That is a high number of players on an NFL team's injury report for September 24th. This was the opening statement of Dan Quinn's pre-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon.
All right. What's up, everybody? All right. Well, I told you I'd have an update on some injuries, and I'll kind of get started on that, and then we'll get into the game. So first, let's start with Jayden. He'll continue in his return-to-play process, and you'll see him out there today in a limited fashion. And we'll continue to rely on the medical team, to fully clear him. But what I can say is, man, he is doing everything you possibly can to get there. The guy's the ultimate competitor for us. You know that. I know that. But he is absolutely digging it. As far as the other injuries, we're going to work through that. And I'll take it through Friday and we'll give you the updates as it goes. Then lastly, just the matchup for this weekend. And last time went into extra time, to go through that. And we expect that kind of same fight and battle again. We'll need to have that complementary football that we leaned into last week again. And ready to get rocking with you guys.
Okay, I found that funny. Dan Quinn acknowledged that he, during his day after the game press conference on Monday afternoon, said that he would give us injury updates on Wednesday, but he on Wednesday basically gave 0 injury updates beyond what he said about Jayden Daniels. And I get why Quinn did that. An NFL head coach should pretty much always be coy about injuries, but I did get a kick out of that. More on Jayden Daniels. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between John Keim and Dan Quinn.
With Jayden, what is it, that you've been able to watch him do so far? Is he able? You talked about the cutting and the pivoting. Have you been able to watch him do any of those kind of activities?
I have, and like I said, he's worked really hard on that space, and so we'll lean in on the medical side too, John, just to make sure they'll, be the ones to fully clear. But he's working really hard to hit all the stuff that he needs to hit.
The injured knee for Jayden Daniels is his left knee. He has been wearing a brace on that knee. How often and for how long, we don't know. Interestingly, Jayden Daniels on Wednesday afternoon did do the QB1 post-practice press conference that has been a Washington tradition for years for the Wednesdays before Sunday games. Daniels last week did not do the Wednesday afternoon QB1 post-practice press conference. The Commanders' QB2, Marcus Mariota, did that presser, and then he was the team's starting quarterback for the win over the Raiders. Daniels' press conference on Wednesday afternoon started with this back and forth between WUSA 9 sports anchor Chick Hernandez and Daniels.
Mr. Daniels, can you give us an assessment of where you are right now as far as come Sunday?
It's up to the doctors, not my decision.
For you, where do you think you're at? And
I feel good.
Watching Marcus do what he did on Sunday, obviously you're a big part of that as well. What did you think?
Super happy for him. He deserves everything, and he's been my biggest supporter. So it was my turn last week to be his.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels during this post-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon did not have much to say. Now, he usually does not have much to say anyway, but he really was not saying much about his injury situation, and understandably so. But we later in the presser had this exchange between Commanders insider Howard Fenrich of the Associated Press and Daniels.
Can you tell us at all how the knee injury affects you the most?
I mean, I don't know. I feel good, so I don't think it affects me.
Okay. And we later in the presser had this back and forth between John Keim and Daniels, and then a back and forth between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Daniels.
Jayden, how much running and cutting have you been able to do so far?
Enough to feel good if I play on Sunday. Like I said, it's not my decision.
And then have you had to play with a brace before?
No.
What's that feel like just wearing it even in practice?
Something to get used to.
Would you have to wear one if you do play on Sunday?
The doctors haven't said that decision yet, so that'll be a conversation.
Do you feel any level of discomfort when you're out there?
Nah, myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get the idea of how Jayden Daniels was during this post-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon regarding his injury situation. He was not saying much, and he very clearly wants to play. Good for him. That's exactly how you want him to be. It is still early in the 2025 regular season. This is week 4 of an 18-week regular season. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Liam Griffin of the Washington Times and Dan Quinn.
Hey, Coach, I know you guys are very diligent in that return to play process, but is the fact that Sunday's game is, still September football, an early season game, does that time period shift whether or not you guys are going to maybe encourage guys to play Sunday versus if it were a postseason, late season game? Does that timeline factor in at all?
No. Yeah, I think they're all in the same space, and like the medical team putting the whole thing together for it. They have guidelines they want to follow. So no, I think everything's kind of the way we would go after it is consistent.
And that is how things should be. And so the Commanders turn to the tried and true cliche of next man up. The Commanders lately have had to use a lot of next men up. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange with Dan Quinn.
Coach, next man up seems like a cliche term used during sports, but with this team, with this organization, you all seem to thrive in these situations. What is it about this team that allows for them to excel in those moments?
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I think that is too much of a cliche because there's another player behind that, the injury or what happened to take place. But what I do know and what we do train hard as, there is going to be a spot, and when you're ready, you've got to go nail it. And if you're waiting for that moment to happen and then all of a sudden it hits you, you're not going to be as prepared as you could have been. And so the way that we go about it is everybody gets reps at practice to make sure they're pushing it to see where we go. We're evaluating, pushing the skills. So if we can continue to get better, when that moment comes and the opportunity is called upon, man, you're ready to deliver. So the competition helps that. We do some at each practice, just non-carded, non-scripted, offense versus defense going to play, and that keeps a player sharp. They know they got to react, they got to make the plays and make the calls, but having all 70 in our mindset, that's a big part of who we are and how we do it, knowing there's going to be adversity. I think early on in my career, coach, you want this to happen, then this to happen, this to happen, then you learn later, man, like sometimes that plan isn't there. This is how you have to go win the game, and that could be due to injury, them playing a different way. And so if you think in those ways, man, like be able to adjust, and when that time comes, you go let it rip, and you have to have confidence in the people to do that, and we do.
All right. Hey, please consider subscribing to the Al Galdi podcast. If you're not already doing that, subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
More now on the Commanders, off them on Wednesday, beginning the practice portion of their week in preparation for their game at the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday afternoon at 1. Dan Quinn has been the Commanders' head coach since February 2024. He was the Falcons' head coach February 2015 to October 2020. His overall regular season record as Falcons head coach was 43-42, but Quinn, in just his second season as Falcons head coach, won the NFC Championship for the 2016 season, although then came Super Bowl 51 at NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas, February 5th, 2017. The Falcons in that game famously blew a 28-3 third-quarter lead and a 34-28 overtime loss to the New England Patriots. Dan Quinn, in between his two NFL head coaching stints, spent a lot of time studying where he went wrong as Falcons head coach. He talked to a lot of people about that. I have a lot of respect for Quinn for doing that. But Dan Quinn, during his pre-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon, had little interest in getting sentimental or reflective. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Quinn.
Hey, Dan, Sunday's going to be a special game for you, too, because obviously you coached in Atlanta. You have a lot of friends there, and I'm sure a lot of memories there. What is that going to be like for you going in there as a head coach of the Commanders where you used to coach in Atlanta?
Well, it's not like a return to one go. We've played them, last year and, done it other times before. But I always have, huge gratitude for Arthur Blank and his family and, giving me the opportunity to do that. But past that, it's for the guys and in between the white lines. So we'll be ready to battle, too.
Yeah, Dan Quinn was not really feeling the topic, and good for him. I get that. You as an NFL head coach should never make a game about you. It's about your players. And when it comes to Commanders players, how good has edge defender Dorance Armstrong been so far this season? The team in March 2024 signed Armstrong as an unrestricted free agent, signed him to a reported 3-year contract. He, for the Commanders' last regular season, played in 16 of the team's 17 games and had 5 sacks. He, for the Commanders' last postseason, played in all 3 of the team's games and had 3.5 sacks. And he, in playing in all 3 of the Commanders' games so far this regular season, has 3 sacks. But it's not just the sacks. Armstrong for this regular season is number 14 among all qualified edge defenders in the NFL in ESPN's pass rush win rate, 22.5%. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of Last Man Standing on Substack and Dan Quinn.
Dan, with Dorance Armstrong, when you guys brought him in, obviously you and Joe knew him well, figured that his acclimation period would be maybe one of the faster ones, but it really wasn't until maybe the playoffs that his statistics at least really started to take off, and that's continued. Did something change for him, click? Was there something just over time that he developed, found more confidence in, whatever it was?
Yeah, and we'll have to look, Ben. That's a good question. I felt there was significant pressure from DA, but maybe not the numbers from the sack standpoint. That might be something that we can look into. But now, different sides for him. He's always been somebody that could be equipped to go over the guards, over the tackles, move into different locations. So we didn't do that as much with him last year. Dante mostly played one side. He mostly played the other. So now we're probably a little more fluid of how we feature the guys. But I think converting from a pressure into a sack, obviously that's a big deal. And I don't know, but I felt like the pressures were higher, even though maybe the sack numbers weren't as high. So that might be one thing that he's able to finish more so far.
Dorance Armstrong has been finishing, and the Commanders with him and interior defensive linemen Deron Payne and Javon Kinlaw are getting some really good defensive line play. Payne and Kinlaw have been terrific so far this regular season. Payne for this regular season is number 10 among all qualified interior defensive linemen in the NFL in ESPN's pass rush win rate, 13.21%. Interesting stuff from Dan Quinn on Wednesday afternoon on safety. Jeremy Reaves, who's playing time on defense, figures to shoot up with the Commanders on Monday afternoon, announcing having placed safety Will Harris on the reserve/injured list. This due to a fractured fibula that he suffered in the 41-24 win over the Las Vegas Raiders at Northwest Stadium this past Sunday afternoon. Here was Quinn on Wednesday afternoon on Reaves.
What I noticed jumped from 2024 to 2025, man, the speed elevated even again. Is that a year after being injured? Could be. But I felt like the speed and the tackling even ramped up more. I saw it in the preseason games. I saw it at practice, too. And so we'd already seen some of that begin, but I felt the speed and the tackling and that position, he's usually right in the middle of all of it. But I did feel that level up in 2025 from spring, training camp, and into this early part of the season.
So Dan Quinn seeing a faster Jeremy Reaves. Reaves always has been a violent player. The violence combined with increased speed, a very good thing. Jeremy Reaves in the 2023 regular season played in just 5 of the Commanders' 17 games. He suffered a knee injury in the 40-20 loss to the Chicago Bears at FedEx Field on Thursday Night Football on October 5th, 2023. What a wonderful night that was. But interesting to hear Dan Quinn say that he thinks that Reaves' increased speed could be a function of him now being all the way back from that knee injury. To what extent is Commanders kicker Matt Gay kicking for his job? Gay in the win over the Raiders in the first quarter had a kickoff out-of-bounds penalty and missed a 37-yard field goal attempt. He did make a 46-yard field goal with 9:56 left in the second quarter, and he did make a 56-yard field goal on the final snap of the second quarter. Matt Gay for this regular season, though, just 3 for 6 on field goals. He is 9 for 9 on extra points. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Howard Fenrich of the Associated Press and Dan Quinn.
With the kicking game, what, if any, is your level of concern about inconsistency there, and have you or will you bring in anyone to compete for that spot?
Yeah, we have a lot of confidence in Matt to go. I was pleased to see, the one at the end of the half. So as we're going through it, we're still digging in to find our spaces to go. But no, we have full belief in Matt.
All right, so Dan Quinn continuing to voice support for Matt Gay, who the Commanders this past March signed as an unrestricted free agent. We are approaching 4 years since Washington released kicker Dustin Hopkins. Washington on October 20th, 2021, stunningly released Dustin Hopkins. And not that the team made some massive mistake in releasing him. Hopkins was a mediocre kicker for Washington, but he was the team's kicker for a while. Washington originally signed Hopkins in September 2015, so he was the team's kicker from September 2015 to October 2021. And the team over these last 4 years has yet to have true stability at kicker. Dustin Hopkins was not great, but there with him was a stability at kicker that Washington has not come close to having since it had him. We'll see what happens with Matt Gay. And another special teams topic during the Dan Quinn pre-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon was the team excelling on returns. We talked about this during the opening segment of the show, but receiver Deebo Samuel Sr. for this regular season is number 1 among all qualified players in the NFL and yards per kickoff return, 36.83. Receiver Jalen Lane for this regular season is number 2 among all qualified players in the NFL and yards per punt return, 17.7. And the Commanders for this regular season are number 5 in the NFL in fewest yards allowed per kickoff return, 23.11, and are number 4 in the NFL in fewest yards allowed per punt return, 4.38. We on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider Nikki Javala of The Athletic and Dan Quinn.
Special teams question.
Yes.
I know you addressed it on Monday, but you mentioned how you that's part of your play style. You guys take a lot of pride in it. When did you start to feel like that could be sort of a weapon for you guys or give you guys an edge?
I'm going to go back because I think it's important on it, Nikki. When the new kickoff rule started, we were right at the front of that to say, can this be an advantage? Can we find a space that we could create that from field position to identity? So I thought it would begin there on the kickoff and kickoff return side. Then as we got to learn it better, and we were all kind of at the first part, remember there was a lot from OTAs through training camp, so I thought it began then. And then adding, obviously Tress, the way he can punt, putting people down, and the different style of players, like obviously Revo and, is at the front of it, but then it's Ballore and then Percy Butler and others that just started to emerge in this way. And we thought, man, this can be a weapon for us, and we can really push and feature the guys and use them in those ways. But I think it was the kickoff and the decisions to say, we're going to go for it and really try to be at the front of this if we can. And I think that was the start of it.
Yeah, remember running back Austin Eckler was very good on kickoff returns for the Commanders last regular season, 31.26 yards per kickoff return. If you are a Commanders fan and you are on Instagram, make sure that you're following WSH on the Daily. The handle is at WSH on the Daily. WSH on the Daily provides outstanding daily Commanders coverage. The page is updated every day, always has a great fresh look. WSH on the Daily just started in 2021 and yet has nearly 44,000 followers. You learn a lot by following WSH on the Daily. You are entertained quite a bit by following WSH on the Daily. If you're on Instagram, check out WSH on the Daily. The handle is at WSH on the Daily. And check out WSH on the Daily's online shop, WSHonthedaily.com. Some terrific gear, t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, excellent materials, modern looks. So for smart, informative, fun, and engaging Commanders content, check out WSH on the Daily on Instagram. And for great merch, visit WSHonthedaily.com. It is perhaps the single most important decision for the Lerner family since it bought the Nationals in 2006, and the decision has been made. Reports on Wednesday afternoon that the Lerner ownership group has decided on Boston Red Sox Senior Vice President, Assistant General Manager Paul Toboni as the Nats head of baseball operations. So the news broke during a 4-3 Nats win at the Atlanta Braves on Wednesday afternoon to snap the Braves' 10-game winning streak, to prevent a 3-game sweep, and to improve the Nats to 65-94 in MLB's 2025 regular season. Worst record in the National League East, second worst record in the National League, third worst record in the majors, and that is why Paul Toboni is being hired to run Nats baseball operations. So the news is broken by ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan. He wrote the following on X, quote, "Breaking, the Washington Nationals are finalizing a deal to name Paul Toboni their new head of baseball operations. Sources tell ESPN Toboni, 35, rose rapidly to become assistant GM for the Boston Red Sox and is widely regarded as one of the best young executives in MLB." End quote. There over the last few weeks were a good number of reports on candidates to run Nats baseball operations. Paul Toboni had not come up much, if at all, but he ends up getting the job. He is a guy who worked his way up the Red Sox hierarchy. He was a baseball operations intern for the Oakland A's from May 2013 to August 2013. He started with the Red Sox as a baseball ops intern in January 2015 and had been with the Red Sox ever since. He worked his way up to being senior vice president, assistant general manager. He had held that title since November 2023. There is a lot that we need to learn about Paul Toboni, but some things that we do know. He is regarded as a bright, young, rising executive in MLB. He is believed to be big on analytics, and he has been a big part of a Red Sox baseball operations department that has done some excellent work in drafting and player development, two areas in which the Nats have been woeful for years. Now, there is a big question here. Nats ownership. Will the Lerner family, with Paul Toboni running baseball operations, spend more on infrastructure and spend more on players, or are the Nats going to still be run on the cheap? Logic would say that a bright, rising, young executive like Toboni would not take the job of running Nats baseball operations without assurances from ownership that it'll spend properly on infrastructure and spend properly on players. Like if I'm Toboni, I make it a point to, in my contract, have assurances about spending from ownership. But who knows? Going to be very interesting to see and hear what Toboni says at his introductory press conference, whenever that is. It's also going to be interesting to see if the Nats retain interim general manager Mike DeBartolo in some way. I like him, but we don't know if Toboni likes DeBartolo or if the two are a good fit, or if DeBartolo even wants to stay. But a tandem of Toboni as president of baseball operations and DeBartolo as GM could work if they're on the same page. Meantime, James Wood has gotten to 30 home runs. Just like that, he's gone from 27 homers to 30 homers. James Wood, say hello to the Dirty 30. The Nats in their 4-3 win at the Braves on Wednesday afternoon scored 4 runs and totaled 9 hits, which were 3 home runs, a double, and 5 singles. The Nats did work no walks, but went 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position. And James Wood, as the Nats starting DH and number 1 batter, went 2 for 4 with 2 solo homers, giving him 3 homers over the Nats' last 2 games. So Wood in the Nats' 1-run 6 had a leadoff opposite field homer to left center field for a 3-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 445 feet per StatCast. Wood in the Nats' 1-run 8 had a 1-out solo homer to center field for a 4-1 Nats lead. That homer went a projected 436 feet per StatCast. So James Wood now has 3 home runs over the Nats' last 2 games. This off him having hit just 3 home runs from July 10th through September 21st. Go figure. But yes, Wood for this regular season now has 30 homers. Good to see that. Dalen Lyle, another good game for him. He is the Nats starting left fielder and number 4 batter. Went 3 for 4 with an RBI single and 2 other singles. So Lyle now for this month of September has an OPS of 1,170. Josh Bell hit the Nats' other home run in this game. He is the Nats starting first baseman and number 3 batter. Went 2 for 4 with a solo homer and a single. Bell in a Nats 1-run 4th had a leadoff homer on a bomb to center field for a 2-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 429 feet per StatCast. Josh Bell for this regular season is number 2 on the Nats with 21 homers. The Nats starting pitcher in this 4-3 win at the Braves on Wednesday afternoon was Andrew Alvarez. He tossed 4 1/3 scoreless innings with 5 strikeouts. He gave up just 2 hits, both of which were singles. He issued 3 walks into wild pitch. He threw a lot of pitches and a lot of balls, 83 pitches, just 42 strikes, 41 balls. An odd outing. He threw so many balls, and yet he had 5 strikeouts in 4 1/3 shutout innings. And so Andrew Alvarez now, since the Nats on Labor Day Monday morning, September 1st, announced having selected his contract from AAA Rochester, 5 starts, ERA of 2.31, whip of 1.11. Very nice work by a guy who the Nats took in the 12th round of the 2021 MLB draft out of California Polytechnic State University. The Nats relief pitching in this 4-3 win at the Braves on Wednesday afternoon was not good. 5 Nats relievers combined to allow 3 runs in 4 2/3 innings on 3 home runs. Mitchell Parker tossed 2/3 of a scoreless and hitless inning. He in the bottom of the 5th faced 3 batters and got 2 outs. Julian Fernandez allowed 1 run in 1 inning. He in the bottom of the 6th gave up a leadoff homer by Drake Baldwin to right center field to cut the Nats lead to 3-1. The homer went a projected 419 feet per StatCast. Clayton Beeter tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 7th with 3 swinging strikeouts despite issuing a walk to each of the first 2 Braves batters in the inning and then issuing a wild pitch. Jackson Rutledge allowed 1 run in 1 inning. He in the bottom of the 8th gave up a 1-out opposite field solo homer by Marcell Ozuna to right center field to cut the Nats lead to 4-2. And Jose A. Ferrer allowed 1 run in 1 inning, did get the save. He in the bottom of the 9th gave up a pinch leadoff first pitch home run by Eli White to center field to cut the Nats lead to 4-3. The homer went a projected 436 feet per StatCast, but Ferrer then retired 3 of the next 4 batters, including generating 2 swinging strikeouts. But the Nats for this regular season, dead last in MLB in relief pitching ERA, 5.61. Dead last in MLB in relief pitching whip, 1.53. Fixing the bullpen among the many tasks for Paul Toboni as head of Nats baseball operations. No game for the Nats on Thursday. Next up for them is their final series of the season, a 3-game series against the American League worst Chicago White Sox at Nationals Park. Game 1 Friday evening at 6:45, Cade Cavalli will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 2 Saturday afternoon at 4:05, Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 3:05, the Nats starting pitcher is to be announced.
Time for an oil change? Mopar factory trained technicians provide expert care you can trust. Now get $15 off the regular price of a full synthetic oil change at your local Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer. Expert care, real savings, and peace of mind, all from Mopar. Offer valid on oil replacements of full synthetic oil, oil filter, and fluid level inspection. Local tax and shop supplies fees are extra. See your participating dealer or Mopar.com for complete details. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Mopar are registered trademarks of FCA US LLC.
Hey neighbor, this holiday season, Birch Lane is here to help you celebrate with friends and family. From guest-ready dining tables to cozy sofas that fit the whole crew, our classic furniture and decor are crafted to last. And with fast, free delivery, you can be ready for holiday hosting in days, not weeks. So you can spend time on what matters most. It's classic style for joyful living. Shop Birch Lane, a Wayfair specialty brand at birchlane.com.
So the Nationals reportedly are hiring Paul Toboni to run their baseball operations. We on Wednesday night had reports that Toboni will be named Nats president of baseball operations and that the Nats will hire a general manager to work under Toboni. So that means that both the Nats and Orioles are searching for GMs to work under heads of baseball operations. Don't forget, we on September 11th had reports that Orioles executive vice president and general manager Mike Elias actually isn't the Orioles executive vice president and general manager. As it turns out that Orioles controlling owner David Rubenstein this past offseason quietly promoted Elias to president of baseball operations, and the O's now are searching for a general manager. The O's also are searching for their offense. What has happened to the Orioles offense? Wednesday evening, a 6-2 loss to the Tampa Bay Rays at Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The O's in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 74-84, worst record in the American League East. The O's now are 3 games behind the Rays for 4th in the 5-team AL East. The Rays now are 77-81. The O's scored just 2 runs in total, just 3 hits, all of which were singles. So the O's did work 5 walks, but the O's went just 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. There are many reasons for the O's having a disappointing season. The number one reason is injuries, but number 2 is the decline of the Orioles offense. And yes, injuries have played a big part in that, but there are a lot of promising young Orioles players who have not produced offensively as you would have hoped, to say nothing of some veterans. But the O's for the 2023 regular season had a team OPS of 742. The O's for the 2024 regular season had a team OPS of 750. The O's for this regular season have a team OPS of 699. Big time decline. And that's not all about injury or trades, even though, yes, the O's did trade key hitters and first baseman / outfielder Ryan O'Hearn and outfielders Ramon Laureano and Cedric Mullins in the lead-up to the 2025 MLB trade deadline on July 31st. Also on Wednesday evening, some controversy. Samuel Basallo, he is the Orioles starting first baseman and number 5 batter, went 0 for 3 with a hit by pitch, which was on his right hand / wrist in leading off the bottom of the 9th against Rays closer Pete Fairbanks. Basallo left the game. Fairbanks, after the game, blew a kiss toward the Orioles dugout, although he may have been doing that toward a fan. But Basallo was hit by a pitch with 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th in the previous game, the Orioles 6-0 win over the Rays at Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Tuesday night. You do wonder if some retaliation by the O's is coming on Thursday afternoon in Game 3 of this series. So the Orioles starting pitcher in this 6-2 loss to the Rays on Wednesday evening was Tyler Wells. He allowed 3 runs in 4 innings. He gave up 7 hits, which were a home run, 3 doubles, and 3 singles. He did have 4 strikeouts versus 1 walk, and he did throw a lot of strikes, as he usually does. 79 pitches, 52 strikes, just 27 balls. So this was start number 4 for Wells since the O's on September 2nd announced having returned him from his minor league rehab assignment and having reinstated him from the 60-day injured list, which he had been on since March 27th, retroactive to March 24th due to right elbow UCL surgery that he underwent in June 2024. Wells, over these 4 starts, ERA of 2.91, whip of 0.88, 18 strikeouts versus 2 walks. His overall work since coming back has been good. The Orioles relief pitching in this 6-2 loss to the Rays on Wednesday evening. 3 Orioles relievers combined to allow 3 runs, 1 earned in 5 innings. Dietrich Enns allowed 1 run unearned in 2 innings with 3 swinging strikeouts. Jose Castillo allowed 2 runs, 1 earned in 1 2/3 innings, and Yanier Cano tossed 1 1/3 perfect innings. Game 3 for the O's against the Rays at Oriole Park at Camden Yards Thursday afternoon at 1:05. Cade Povich will be the Orioles starting pitcher. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Friday's show, episode 1164. We'll have much more on the Commanders. In-depth preview of their game at the Atlanta Falcons this Sunday afternoon at 1. Also on Friday's show, I'll talk college football week 5 of the 2025 season regarding the FBS teams of the Mid-Atlantic region, including the big game for Virginia. The Cavaliers home to number 8 Florida State Friday night at 7. And on Friday's show, we'll discuss the Orioles. The O's are home to the Tampa Bay Rays Thursday afternoon at 1:05 in Game 3 of a 3-game series. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
Mr. Daniels, can you give us an assessment of where you are right now as far as come Sunday?
It's up to the doctor, not my decision.
For you, I mean, where do you think you're at? And
I feel good.
If you're a custodial supervisor at a local high school, you know that cleanliness is key, and that the best place to get cleaning supplies is from Grainger. Grainger helps you stay fully stocked on the products you trust, from paper towels and disinfectants to floor scrubbers. Plus, you can rely on Grainger for easy reordering, so you never run out of what you need. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.